Okay, so let's talk now a little bit about how you can take your webinars and either turn them into products or create products from them. Slightly different concepts, but I think very important for you to fully understand them. Now, you can take a webinar that you're running and turn it into a product. That is quite acceptable as something to do. So, a webinar can become a product for you if you want it to. So, it could become something that you're going to give away as a list builder. It could be something that you're going to use as a bonus to another product, or it could be a complete product itself. In fact, the webinar may end up actually being the product. So that's entirely plausible for it to happen that way. So your product could be a set of webinars. It's effectively an online training course. It's like me going to night school to learn how to juggle. I could do it on a series of webinars, for example. So huge potential here. There really is. So webinars are a great way of delivering content. If you think about it, if I want to run the seminar offline, it's terrible trouble. I've got to make sure that there's enough people in the area I'm running it for them to want to come along. I can't run a webinar in the area where I live, because I live in a village with 650 houses. There's not enough people in this village to fill a webinar on internet marketing. But I'd have to go and run it in a big city where there's plenty of people can get to it easily, and so on and so forth. So, webinars are a great way of appealing to a huge audience. Instead of me having to, hire a room, pay for all that, which is quite expensive, then obviously, advertise, get people in, and have people have to travel all the way to my seminar. I could do a webinar. People can do it from the comfort of their home at a time that's convenient for them. So webinars are very effective. If you want to build on it by adding some extra videos and books, then you can create a really great product. You really can. Combine sort of webinars and videos and books, and you have pretty much what I consider a perfect product. It really is. It's very high quality, very interesting, very useful to people. It really is. Because what you can do is you can use the videos and the books to build on the information in the webinars, and it's perfectly acceptable. Great way of doing it. Now, if you are creating a product from webinars, you're going to have an overall structure. So if I'm running a series of 6 webinars on the subject, I'm going to have to make sure that the set of webinars flows logically and makes sense. It's going to have to make sure that it flows through and people can follow it. I don't want it to be a case of people turn up to the webinar and they don't really follow it. You've got to make sure that it's got that structure all the way through. So outline the content in your webinar series. You're going to have to do this anyway, because you're going to have to sell it. So people need to know what's going to happen throughout the webinar in order for you to actually sell it to them. But you're going to have to be flexible with the whole webinar thing, because after the first week you may realise that, well, actually people didn't understand this. Or you may think, well, we had a lot of questions about this subject, so let's add this into later webinars. So you're going to have to think about that, be flexible, and adapt your structure and your webinar series according to the needs of your listeners. You may even end up adding an extra webinar in to address issues you hadn't thought of, which is fair enough. And all that would be is an unadvertised bonus or something similar to that. I would recommend that you provide recordings of the webinar, particularly if it's a training series, so that they can listen to it offline. Not everyone can turn up, and that would put people off. But if you advertise the fact that the recordings of the webinars will be available, people who say, well, I can't make that time of night or that time of day for a webinar, are more likely to buy, because they're going to realise that, well, it doesn't matter if I can't actually make the webinar, I can listen to it later. And you can even say that if you have questions and you can't attend the webinar, email you the questions and take it from there. So lots of potential. One thing you can do again, with this whole webinar product, is use books and videos to sort of build on the information and get everyone up to speed, basically. So you can have in the sort of, say, in the members area, a set of basics training information and say to everyone, this is the stuff you need to know before you start the webinar. Here's the training materials, and that way when you start the webinars, you're not going to be sitting there and having to explain to people how to upload a web page or use the browser. So having that sort of basic level of information there is going to help get people all to the same level. But this is this sort of series is a great way of running a high value product. I mean, people love training courses, and webinars like this sort of series of training is going to be high value for a lot of people. It's really, really going to help them to get a lot from it, basically. So, as I said, webinars can be products or webinars can become products. So it's entirely up to you how you're going to run it, but certainly consider it. Think about sort of the ways that you're going to use the webinar. Always get the recording of the webinar. You never ever know when you're going to come up with that sort of one gem of information that changes people's lives or makes your reputation. So always record your webinars and keep the recordings. And whether you use them as products or use them as bonuses or whatever, that is up to you entirely. But make sure you record them all. But webinars are very good products and can be very good products at the same time.